Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a fantastic day. Just woke up, you know how it goes. Without any further ado, let's jump right into it. There's a lot of different kind of geared interest Bitcoin news right now as prices continue to look interesting. A lot of other metrics are constantly being bought up. I do not know if we went over this already. A lot of the news floating around has to do with people who own an entire Bitcoin. This metric, of course, keeps fluctuating, but it's becoming like a rather popular gauge for where the market could potentially go. So a lot of times we have news about short-term holders and long-term holders, people who are only accumulating or people who are in the market for a very short period of time. The last couple of days, we've gotten a lot of flushing out news. So it's more like people who got into the market around January, around February. These people have nearly completely been flushed out of the market. As they no longer find interest in the market because prices either have trended sideways, went down, and therefore they're not making the amount of money that they thought that they would make. But the idea of owning an entire coin, apparently this number has now remained above 1 million addresses for more than 13 months. The 1 million entire coin milestone was first reached last May of 2023. When Bitcoin was trading at $27,000 according to Glassnode. There's been like a slight fluctuation in the amount of wallets who are owning an entire coin, which I'll tell you, if we can be honest here, I don't think if I ever got to an entire Bitcoin that I would sell. That's just maybe like a personal mental thing. It seems like such a gigantic hurdle to get to an entire coin. If I ever got there, I wouldn't be like, oh, let me sell off some, because the market is trending sideways. And there's a little chart right there. Yeah, we're not getting as much, you might have realized, we're not getting as much price prediction news right now. I think simply because of the way that the market is moving, the way that the market has been the last 3 months, the expectation of where things could potentially go. It also ties lightly into the next story. It's the idea like where a world market's going to go. Where is the interest rate going to go? A lot of other countries have begun to like slowly cut their interest rates, but it's doing near jack diddly squat for a number of those countries. So yeah, accumulation continues. There's accumulation news every single day. I mean, we also just had something. This was maybe 4 or 5 days ago. For those of you who don't follow me on Twitter, there was someone posted and then I reposted that there was, I think we had like a $45 million outflow. It was something along those numbers from the ETFs. And on that same exact day, 3 hours later, I think 1.2, no, I'm certain it was $1.2 billion worth of Bitcoin was accumulated by accumulation wallets. Therefore, wallets who only have inflows, who have continuously been buying since the beginning of, Bitcoin's time, if you will. So that's also quite prevalent as well. I'm completely convinced that any kind of news that we get about prices going down or like there like being a lack of market interest is completely untrue and unfounded at this point. The amount of interest in this market is actually staggering. So I still look forward to all the charts, all the cup and handles, all the Bart Simpsons and the Marges and all these other charts that people keep putting out to try and explain this really weird anomaly. Which, to be fair, we've also had before. If you've been here, it took me a while for it to click. If you were here in 2018, 2019, we had the same exact thing going. It was this really weird. I mean, also, if we can be honest, 2020, partially 2021 as well, also 2022, where the market just doesn't move. We have daily constant accumulation news, buying news. Prices are going down by 8%. someone just bought 670 Bitcoin. It's kind of this loop over and over. Prices go down, people find a way to buy huge, enormous amounts. And I remember there being multiple times where prices just like trended sideways. 2016 was also a terrible year. A terrible, terrible year. I had just gotten into the market and I was trying to, see what was going on. And I remember we were just, like, there were days where we literally went sideways. So you know how now we're experiencing, maybe there's a 4% rise, a 4% drop. Maybe things go up by 2. There were days where Bitcoin's price would go up and down by 0.1%. It was barely a movement that was registered. It was just a straight line going sideways. And I remember looking at it. I remember starting to make videos and I was like, what is this market? Like, what in the world? How is anyone making sure that this happens to prices? But yeah, the optimism is still sky high for the space. The accumulation levels continue regardless of what we might be seeing on any given day, price-wise. And I guess lightly tying into this as well. Constant discussions within the cryptocurrency space as to when the Federal Reserve is going to be changing interest rates. Apparently, the Atlanta Federal Reserve president, called Raphael Bostic, says that it is likely that they are going to start cutting interest rates in the fourth quarter, which I believe starts around September. Question mark, because we heard that at the end of last year. So the way that I understand it, the way that the Fed works is that there are there's the main Fed, and then there's other presidents and other people of the Fed in other states. Like, we keep hearing about different states for the Fed, yada, yada. And these tend to be the people, besides Jerome Powell, who can throw in their 2 cents into the ring to talk about where they think things are going. But 9 out of 10 times, at least from paying attention to what these people have stated over the course of the last 3 years or so, what they say tends to never actually come true. Jerome Powell kind of insinuated that there might be an interest rate cut if inflation continues to go down. I think it's time. I think it's well over the time. The problem is, as we've stated before, is that if they lower interest rates, inflation is going to rise again. So I think they're trying to, from an optics standpoint, trying to get that number as low as possible because they know that they have to cut interest rates. World economies, again, are not doing well. Like, the jobless numbers are really high. Like, just the way that the way that the system works is that debt needs to be created. Money needs to be pumped into the system where everything continues to go down. I was telling you before in another video, I know a lot of people who had good, strong, secure jobs in tech and stuff like that. And they've all been let go in the last year or so. And it's been a really dramatic thing. You see this person on a Tuesday, you see them on the Friday, they're kind of distraught. They're like, I just lost my job. And it's because of the lack of interest rates. But then it starts this loop all over again. You cut the interest rates, other countries cut the interest rates. The stock market does better, more money gets pumped into it, more debt gets created. The inflation rate rises once again. And so the assumption is that we've seen before when interest rates are quite low or when interest rates get cut, the stock market does well. The indication is that if the stock market does well, the crypto market does well. If the crypto market does well and we start seeing a massive pump in price for, even if it was just Bitcoin and Ethereum, it has an effect on the other coins as well. We've seen if Bitcoin goes up, the other altcoins go up. If Ethereum does well, the other coins go well. I think a lot of people are hoping for a bit of a perfect storm for the Bitcoin ETFs, the Ethereum ETFs, which, I mean, nothing is making sense right now. Also, to be completely fair, for those of you who weren't paying attention, we should be a lot. I mean, I'm tired of echoing this over and over and over. We should mathematically actually be a lot higher. I know it sounds crazy. I know some of you may get tired or roll your eyes when you hear it, but you don't understand, like based off of our metrics, like just mathematically, if you've ever been in the stock market, if you've ever seen someone invest in the stock market, or like they're watching stock news, if you've ever perused for some reason around Yahoo Finance, the website, which is still very big in many other countries except for the United States, what you can do is you usually look at the actual metrics of a company. You see how much money is flowing through it, how much better they did compared to the year before, how many new hires they have, how many people they fired, how many, like there's tons and tons of metrics, and you can mathematically put them together to say what the earnings potential for that company is. Like you'll notice a lot of times you'll hear in the news, this company, you know, they made 8% more than people were expecting for their earnings, and then the stock valuation ends up going up because they made more money. If they were expecting to make $1 billion and the company made 850 million, the stock will go down because it was based off of the metrics that people had before of their expected earnings compared to the year before. We do the exact same thing for Bitcoin. We see how much money is flowing through Bitcoin, how much more money has flown through it since the year before, how many more people are on the network, how many more people are mining Bitcoin, how much more computational power, how many more validators. You know, there's tons and tons of metrics to go on, and just based off of those alone, not that it has nothing to do with trading volume on crypto exchanges, which is also another metric. But based on the actual like real world usage metrics, Bitcoin should be over $100,000. We've heard that for such a long time. Like it is just like an actual fact. So I think people are hoping that the interest rate thing will give us the extra shove that we need for it to happen. At the moment, as far as I can tell from any kind of interest rate Fed news, it looks like the next one would be scheduled for somewhere around September. I'm not holding my breath. If you follow this channel since at least last November, December, we were hearing from these people that we would have had 4 cuts this year. And now it's looking like there might only be one. So a lot of markets are like leaning completely on it. If you get a chance, or if you fancy it, looking at any kind of stock market news right now, you'll see like some tech stocks tend to be doing well, but everything else is like sliding down, waiting for the news. It's crazy. Like they've created a market that is reliant on debt. It's reliant on people getting in debt, like big companies, like the way that people invest, and a lot of normal people don't know this, is that you need to take out a huge amount of money. A lot of times, if not all the times, when you hear about these millionaires and billionaires, this guy just bought this plot of land, this guy's building a 130 apartment building, you know, so like they're doing it on debt. The world literally runs on debt. When you hear that these people are worth $18 billion, a portion of that, their portfolio, if they own $3 billion in real estate, it's all debt that they're going to have to pay off over the course of the next 30 to 40 years at fluctuating interest rates. This is why sometimes you'll hear these people, you see them in the news, and they're not doing too well financially. It's because they owe someone money back that they can't pay them back because a huge portion of their portfolio it's not liquid. It's not in actual cash. So they have to start selling off assets, or they have to file certain forms of bankruptcy to be able to say, okay, now I can like cool down a little bit. The world is running on debt. It's the same exact thing when you when you hear these, like, you know, when you hear that so-and-so is worth $100 and something billion, it's usually massively in debt to another company, to a bank that you will have to pay back over the course of their lifetime. Like none of it is liquid. Like a lot of times when you see these people living the high life, it's on debt. People don't realize this, or even more so, if they own a company or multiple companies, when you see that their wealth has gone up in the news, it's based on their stock options or how much stock they have in that company. But that stock for them is also not liquid. You can't, as the CEO or the higher up or any major stock holder, if you hold more than 2, 3, 4, 5% of a company, you cannot liquidate at any given time. It has to be approved by the board. So you literally have to go, hey, I want to try and cash out $245 million. When can I do it? Okay, it looks like sometime next year. you can do it. And then it has to be like a very slow process of month by month so that the stock doesn't cascade. It's really interesting, but a lot of people think that these people are worth $200 million. No, it's just on paper, or it's literal in debt. Very fascinating, right? Anyway, yeah, got a little bit off tangent there, but just a little history lesson, I guess. These people are not as rich as you think they are, at least not on paper. That's the interest rate news. Moving along. Also I'm not surprised at this. I'm not surprised, like not 1 complete percent. Tether is planning to stop issuing Tether on 2 major blockchain ecosystems. The way that Tether has kind of expanded since 2017 is they were, I believe, first on Ethereum, and then they announced that they would basically be minting Tether on other chains. It gives these chains a raison d'être, like a reason to be, kind of, because it shows that there's not only interest in the chain, but if Tether is minting on you, it shows a kind of longevity for the coin. We believe in this coin. It's probably going to be around for the next 10 to 15 years. Therefore, we're going to begin to put Tether or mint Tether on it. The problem is these 2 chains over the long and short term have nearly done jack diddly squat. Apparently it's going to be a year-long period as they wind down creation on the chain just so everyone is able to redeem it. Tether announced that they are going to be slowing down or shutting completely, but also in a slow manner, Tether support on Algorand and on EOS within the next 12 months, citing a pivot to more community-centric networks. For those of you who don't know Algorand was incredibly popular. In 2020 and 2021, they announced that they have, I honestly don't know, a partnership, I believe it was with FIFA, the football conglomerate, that kind of thing. In the US, it's called soccer. And this was a huge partnership. FIFA, I'm certain it was Algorand. FIFA announced that they were going to be minting NFTs on Algorand, and they would be having digital tickets in general, as opposed to you having to have a physical ticket. You'd be able to mint one on Algorand, and that also became kind of like a digital collectible. And Algorand had all these other prospects and all these other things, and we have not heard about Algorand. It's been at least a year, if definitely not more. There was no news, been nothing, absolutely nothing about them. It was Algorand, and there was one other. Algorand was kind of in the bunch of coins with Terra Luna Classic, Shiba Inu, almost like 3rd or 4th generation coins that kind of popped up that have fallen into relative obscurity. This happens all the time during market cycles. New coins pop up. They get really big partnerships, similar to IOTA a number of years ago. The markets go down for 2 years during the cycle, and then we get no news at all from that coin or that project. And this is one of the things that ends up happening. The other one is EOS. EOS came out, I believe, in 2018. They are the largest ICO that we've ever had, where other coins now just simply like pop up and appear. EOS was asking basically for money from the community. And they were saying, hey, we have this brand new project, this brand new coin. We were talking about it here all the time. EOS is major. I still have all my EOS. EOS was this like huge, you can't imagine how big EOS was. There was a dedicated EOS podcast. There was these 2 guys. I don't know where they are now. It was these 2 guys, and they were having wagers like all the time. They were, by December, each coin is going to be worth $1,000. Like it was a huge amount of interest. EOS was meant to be like the airdrop chain. So the idea was, how like Ethereum has thousands of projects on top of it. The way that EOS was supposed to work is that if you make a brand new project on top of EOS, you would basically be able to or have to airdrop free coins onto people who were holding EOS or were in the EOS ecosystem. Bit of a weird thing, but it makes sense if you look at it from that standpoint, i.e., let's say you had 1,000 EOS and a new coin was coming out to like add another layer of protection or another so-and-so, you would get airdropped the equivalent of how much 1,000 EOS was for that project. And we had news as EOS was gearing up to launch. You must remember this. The people from EOS were telling us that they had each month anywhere from 20 to 50 different projects launching on the chain. That meant you would be airdropped around 20 times the equivalent amount of money that you had in EOS. So it created like a huge rush where people were like, if you have $500,000 worth of EOS every month, if there's 20 airdrops equivalent to $500,000 worth of EOS, you get the idea. The people from EOS, they raised, I believe it was $4 billion, billion with a B, dollars for their chain. The chain ended up launching, and then everyone involved with the project slowly stopped talking on social media. Slowly, no, it was you don't understand. It was a really weird situation. The podcast slowly wound down. Dan Larimer, I believe, was the person who created EOS. He also fell into relative obscurity around 2021. I want to say 21. EOS popped back into the news because members of the community were like, do something. You haven't done anything. And they were like, oh yeah. Like we're planning on doing something. Like the people who created it, they said they were going to, revive the chain. So I think if I remember correctly, I think the community voted to like actually lock like billions of dollars that the company had gotten away from them. Like they completely voted on chain to lock away that money from them. And since then, we haven't heard anything. I assumed it was going to be this huge comeback, community-led driven support, but I don't know what happened with it. And since then, the news now, dragging it on back, is that Tether's like, there's nothing happening with these chains. So therefore, we have to stop minting on top of these chains because the chains are going absolutely nowhere. It's really fascinating. This is why, so a lot of times you'll see, or you'll hear me say, and I understand the skepticism. You'll hear me say, I don't think that that's a good chain. I don't think that that's a good coin. I think that coin is going absolutely nowhere. This is a lot of the skepticism that we even get for Solana. And I shouldn't even have to explain. It's literally that like it doesn't work. It is backed by venture capitalists. It's backed by big money who don't have your interest in mind. The entire idea of Solana is meant to be a chain that's constantly just pumped full of money. The whole point of it right now is just that it's for meme coins, that there's no longevity in these projects. You're being told to like dump your money into it. And even the news that we just got a couple of days ago that I think 2 companies have filed for a Solana ETF. And I see people giving like a weird rebuttal. They're like, see, why would they be doing that? It's because these companies were part of the Series A and Series B for funding Solana. They have an interest in the actual coin. They're part of the reason why the coin exists. So in order to keep the hype going, they have to like make sure that they file these things to try and get them to go through. I mean, if the project continues to exist in 10 years, whoop-de-doo, money makes things happen. But a lot of these projects like are literal garbage, and it's difficult for people to sift through a lot of that, because if you see the prices going up, then that is an indication to a lot of people, well, it must be great, it must be amazing. We have pumps in coins all the time. I mean, I don't talk about Solana anymore because it's just a waste of time and a waste of breath. If you believe in the coin, if you believe in the chain, I sincerely hope that your portfolio does, extremely well. Like, I hope you get everything that you're wishing for. But I've seen over the years, as long as I've been in this market, I've seen these coins pop up. I've seen them disappear. And this is why I'm like incredibly skeptical of so many things that keep appearing, because I'm like, I've heard that before. I've been here before. I've seen all of these things. I've seen all the promises from these companies. You have to understand what it means. This EOS was poised to, become the number 2 coin. They had $4 billion under their belt. Even, I think Ethereum's ICO in 2015, I think I raised like $16 million or something like that. To raise $4 billion, everyone was like, this is it. This is going to be the coin that can even maybe potentially rival Bitcoin. And it was, as far as I can tell right now, probably one of the biggest rugs that we've ever seen. I don't understand why the coin isn't or hasn't done anything. An official notice on Monday said that the firm plans to focus more on striking a balance between maintainability, usage, and community interest. Our goal is to allocate resources where they can best enhance security and efficiency while continuing to support innovation across the crypto landscape. Yeah, this was actually, I mean, I wouldn't say the words like quite popular news, but this was widely spoken about, which I was a little shocked at, because most people, if there's any kind of news like this, it kind of gets pushed away, or people hear about it, don't really care about it too much. But yeah, Tether will slow down their minting and then eventually stop it on EOS and Algorand. I feel like it's so weird. Once again, if we can be honest, I mean, it's not like I'm never not honest. If you've heard me, I'm always just ranting things that are in my head, but I have these thoughts sometimes where I'm like, why not make sure that EOS comes back? Like the people who made that coin, you still have billions of dollars. It's locked up. But if you follow the promises that you made before, the coin would come back with a vengeance. Like there were so many things. Like the blockchain also worked. It was one of those things, if you heard me say it before. Years ago, a lot of developers used to look at these chains and like, oh, okay, this one doesn't actually work. EOS actually worked. Same exact thing with Algorand. I don't understand the process or the mentality of you are partnered with FIFA. Why aren't you doing anything? They also have like some other partnerships there from like well-known companies. Why not make this work for you? I don't understand the... I don't know. I really can't. Yeah. Anyway, that's the Tether news. Okie dokie. Let's move on. So this news lightly shocked me, but also you'll see. I think it's just another okay. Bitrue, that is Bitrue, one of the top crypto exchanges. I think they're in South Korea. Bitrue has publicly voiced their support for XRP. This comes amid a significant decline across the cryptocurrency market, with Bitcoin and other leading tokens experiencing substantial price drops. In a recent post on Twitter, Bitrue addressed investors hesitant about navigating the cryptocurrency market. The exchange positioned XRP as a potentially lucrative option, telling users, and I quote, Bitrue said on Twitter, and I quote, to go all in on XRP, end quote. So there's a lot to unpack here. XRP is probably, and I don't care what you say, like you don't understand. I need to make this exceptionally clear for everyone who is able to understand English. Nothing you can say can sway my opinion on this. XRP should without a doubt be one of the top 3 and or top 4 coins. XRP has actual partnerships that other coins do not. If you get a chance, look at the partnerships that Solana has and then look up those companies. These companies all participated in the initial funding round for the creation of Solana. It is a venture capital coin. And or these companies were created after Solana was made as companies to be able to say that they invested in Solana. You understand what I'm saying? Imagine me creating this channel, The Modern Investor. At some point, I create another YouTube channel called The Modern Investor 2, but I don't tell you that I created it. And I have a news story one day that says The Modern Investor 2 just decided to invest in my channel. Isn't that crazy, guys? This is amazing. That's exactly what Solana basically is. It's a loop of money that they are creating to say that they have extra partnerships. Cardano, as we've gone over before, could have more partnerships, but they don't. Tron is a literal piece of garbage, and I've been telling you that for a very long time. You name the coin, none of them have as many partnerships. None of them have as many partnerships as the people from Ripple have. The only one that stands close but also very far away because they have more is Ethereum. So a lot of times the misconception is based off of 2017 and 18 and 19 and 20 and 2021 cryptocurrency propaganda is that XRP is this or Ripple is that. And I don't know how people haven't grown up, but I think people are meant to just be that way for the rest of their lives. Understand that XRP and the people from Ripple have had partnerships and or whatever ships with a lot of these companies for a very long time. I do not know, we've never had in the news if there's a partnership between Bitrue and or Ripple. But XRP around the world is a gigantic coin. A lot of, if not nearly all the time, we tend to get a US-centric spin on things. That is to say, we hear that ETFs aren't important until they happen in the US. This coin did so-and-so, but it's not important until it happens within the US. Like that kind of thing. And it's a gigantic shame, not only because people are missing out on the actual news, but you're not paying attention to other things that are happening around the world. When we keep hearing that there's outflows of the US ETFs, at the same time there's inflows of the ETFs in Canada and in Australia and in Germany, and we're seeing whales and other places around the world who are also buying large amounts of Bitcoin, it doesn't make it into the news because you are told that only things that are happening within the United States are the things that are actually important. So over the course of the last couple of years, we've heard and have seen and know the names of some of the countries and the world banks that Ripple is actually working with. So from a literal logical perspective, Ripple / XRP are winners in the space, but I personally think there will not be any budging of price until the entire SEC thing versus Ripple ends up ending. It's a very inorganic form of suppression on the price. We'll see after the lawsuit is over, but this is by far one of the most successful companies that we have in the space, and it is impossible to argue against it. I know someone's in the comment section right now. Please, by all means, just write your heart out. But it's impossible to argue with the fact of how successful they are, and regardless of what the lawsuit has been, how far they've expanded around the world. There is no other coin that is being used by other governments to have or create their central bank digital currency. We had other coins 2 years ago who announced that they would be working with governments. They are no longer working with those governments. Do you remember all the news that we used to get before about Stellar Lumens and all this X, Y, and Z that they were doing? When was the last time you heard anything from Stellar Lumens? The last time we had news, for those of you who don't know Stellar Lumens, some of the people from, so all these people know each other. Some people who used to work on Bitcoin at some point moved over to Ethereum. Some of the people from Ethereum left and created Cardano. Some of the people from the Ethereum and Bitcoin projects ended up leaving and created XRP. And then XRP was given to the company called Ripple. And then at some point, the guy who created XRP said that he didn't care for how Ripple was being run. So he created Stellar Lumens. And Stellar Lumens was basically meant to be an exact copy of XRP, but they had no momentum. And the last time that we heard about Stellar Lumens, they got on stage at some event and announced that they were going to be burning, 30 or 40% of the coins, basically in an effort to raise the price and get community spirit behind them. The coin went up and then it completely went back down because they're not doing anything. Anywho, yeah, so this ruffled a couple of feathers because people didn't like the way that they were supporting XRP and not supporting Tron or not supporting Solana or not supporting Cardano or the whole list of other coins. Bitrue's post advocating for XRP generated diverse responses from XRP enthusiasts on Twitter. Some people were like, cool, you guys are pretty bold to say something like that out loud as a mega company. And a lot of other people were like, hey, you guys watch out because we might sue you because you can't just say something like that on the internet. And this mainly, for those of you who don't know, once again, this isn't a joke either. The responses were basically coming from US accounts. For those of you who don't live in the US or have never been in the US, you can basically take someone to court for nearly anything, which is a gigantic shame because it's also how the system is run. So people were literally threatening Bitrue on Twitter with legal action because they said go all in on XRP. You know, as an adult, you have been given a right to do what you want, and when you do something, it is your fault. I don't know if anyone ever told you that when you became an adult. So the idea is that you have free will. Like, you're listening to me right now because you have free will. The phone that you bought, that you purchased, where you live, it's based off of free will. So if I told you right now, go build a gigantic rock dinosaur somewhere in the desert, and put a little plaque in front of it that said TMI, are you obligated to do so? I heard someone say yes. The answer is obviously no. So if a cryptocurrency exchange that you do not use, or even if you do use them, wrote the words "go all in on XRP," is that then a message for you to dump the entirety of your monies, of your portfolio, into a coin that you might not know or do know something about? Because at the end of it, the issue with a lot of people in finance is that if XRP did skyrocket and go to $18, you would have no problem at all. If XRP stayed the exact same price, you would have a problem. Well, Bitrue told me to do this. Who told you what? The judge would say. Bitrue, a cryptocurrency exchange in South Korea, told me to go all in on XRP, and because they have a cryptocurrency trading platform, I believe them. The judge would look at you, they would look at their gavel, they would look at the paperwork in front of them, they would look at the gavel, they would pick up the gavel, and they would slam the gavel and tell you to please leave. It's the same exact thing once again years ago with that guy who sued Ripple because he lost $500 while holding XRP. Understand that as an adult, you have free will and can do what you want when you want, and no one forces you to do anything. When you do something, it is based off of your bodily functions and your bodily movements that you are making happen. Sorry if I needed to reiterate that. That was a really big problem on this channel and many other crypto channels a number of years ago, where I would bring you daily news, as I've been doing for a number of years, and people hear me talk about projects or things in the space. And if the thing doesn't completely skyrocket to the top, well, you told me to buy it. No, I promise you I did not. That's why a lot of times you'll hear me say on the channel, if you hear me say the words, this is financial advice, my financial advice always to you is learn about where you're putting your money. Please do not put money into the market that you cannot afford to lose. If you have rent and bills and light and gas and you need milk and water and eggs and bread, please buy those things first. Once again, this is definitely financial advice. If you have money left over at the end of the month that you were literally going to burn anyway, I mean literally just throw out the window, that's the money that you should be putting into crypto. The extra $20, $30 that you have that you were going to use to, go out to eat with your friends canceled. Oh, what do I do now? And when all other bills are paid, that's the money that you use. The issue is that you're following a lot of other crypto YouTubers, I air quoted to right to heaven and back there, who are telling you constantly to keep throwing your money into the market. Throw more. Did you not see this new Solana meme coin? And you're so used to being hyped up and being told that big money, you're going to be rich, Lambo, that I think when people watch my channel, they're like a bit confused. Because I'll tell you the news, I'll discuss things that are going on with you, I'll tell you the coins that I have, some of my portfolio, yada, 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 and then people misconstrue this as, well, TMI told us to buy that. Let me make this very clear right here and right now. From this point onward, I don't know who needs to hear this. Please take accountability for where you put your own money. This should not be something that I have to tell to a bunch of adults. It should be self-explanatory. And I mean this in a multitude of different ways. If you know Good and well, you should not be spending that much money to go to the Bahamas with your friends for 6.5 days in a hotel that you don't want to be in just so you can post on Instagram. Don't do it. Save your money. If you know good and well that you would like to retire early, or that you would not like to have an empty bank account when you are 67 years old being like, I don't want to go to the office anymore, save your money. If you are going to invest in companies, learn about the companies. If you feel the inkling to invest, this goes for everyone. If you feel the inkling to invest in Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, Milana, Jalana, learn about these things before you put your money into them, so that when you put your hard-earned money into these things, you know how difficult it was for you to make that money? Do you remember working? Do you remember sitting in the office? Do you remember working on the computer? Do you remember having to wake up early in the morning to go and have to do that thing? Right. Let that memory flow through your brain every time you are frivolous with your money. You have to. It's a very important skill to have, because so many people right now don't have any money. So many people cannot retire because they did not think ahead. There's never a step forward. It's simply, let me do this. The whole thing falls apart and you go, oh. Anywho, yes. So I do think, I will tell you, it is a bit intense that a cryptocurrency exchange wrote the words, go all in on XRP. I will admit that is a bit intense, but if Coinbase right now tweeted, empty your bank account, it's time to go all in on Bitcoin, would you empty your bank account and go all in on Bitcoin? Because what happens if Bitcoin then dropped by 15%? Would you go and run to a judge and say, but the person on Twitter told me? Please always pay attention to what you do with your money. It is a shame. This is like the 19th time I've had to say this year. Please pay attention to where you put your money, and understand that when you put your money somewhere, it is your money that you are using, that you made, that you worked for. So be responsible with it. Just Super Saiyan. Yeah. I guess that'll do it for this video. I don't really know. I feel like, is there something else I need to say? I'm not really sure. No. Ripple and XRP, there's still things that I definitely believe in. It takes a mountain-sized amount of patience. I will definitely tell you that. It's not easy, and I think people sometimes think that it's easy. These are the people who are being flushed out of the market. A lot of times people who get into anything financial, it's because they hear that it's doing well. You don't see the actual mountain that you have to climb up, like, and I say this lightly, but Tesla and Nvidia, these companies weren't always doing spectacularly well. There were years, if not a decade, where their stock prices were extremely low. They start doing well, and all that people see is that people who were already in the market for a very long time made substantial amounts of gains. So people throw their money. I told you I had a couple of friends, this was a week or so ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, who threw money into Nvidia like when it hit its brand new all-time high, and then it slid back. All you see is that, the market's doing something substantial. It's the same exact thing with crypto. There are a lot of people, and I've told you this before, when you hear that these people are in the cryptocurrency market, or these like huge, gigantic whales, these people have been, slowly, if you will, accumulating for over a decade. So of course they have a huge amount of crypto. Of course they're holding a huge amount of Bitcoin and XRP and Ethereum and Litecoin. They've been slowly accumulating while everyone keeps jumping in and out of the market. So, yeah, it takes a lot of patience. I try to be patient in life, but it's definitely not one of the easiest things out there. But yeah, so I do think that XRP is going to have a great future. It's just, for me personally, in my portfolio that I put my money into, it's just a matter of when, but that when might be a long time. Same exact thing with Bitcoin and Ethereum and every other coin out there as well. Right. I do sincerely hope that you have all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever the heck you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.